At the beginning of the film, we observe the main character going to a club to see his friends. Doug Riley loses during a joint game, after which he goes to a cafe. The man talks to Vivian, who works in the establishment, and unmistakably guesses that he lost. Riley invites the woman to sit with him while he eats a waffle. A couple of hours later, they end up in the same bed. Riley says he has a trip to New Orleans at the end of the month. The man suggests that Vivian go there with him. The woman promises to think about it, after which she reminds Riley that it's time for him to go home. Soon the man returns to his wife, Lois, who is reading a book in bed. The next day, the woman works in her studio and paints pictures. Near lunchtime, Lois decides to dye her hair, and her master Brenda brings a friend along. She sees a girl's room in the house and asks how old Lois's daughter is. Brenda tries to change the subject quickly, as Lois has lost her daughter. Meanwhile, Riley stops by a cafe. The man learns from its owner that his mistress, Vivian, didn't survive the heart attack. Riley arrives home and sadly decides to sit in the garage. The next day, he visits Vivian's cemetery. Riley also decides to visit the grave of his 15-year-old daughter, Emily. He sees that his thoughtful wife has already placed a monument for them both nearby, but without dates of death. Arriving home, Riley criticizes his wife for such a strange decision. At night, the man cries in the garage, unable to cope with his losses. Lois hears the sobs, but hesitates to go in. Riley goes on the business trip and leaves his wife in the care of her sister. The woman says that Lois needs to deal with her loss and start getting out of the house instead of withdrawing into herself. Meanwhile, Riley goes on a business trip, but almost immediately runs away from his coworkers. While wandering around town, the man notices a club where young girls are dancing with no clothes on. Riley decides to go inside, and one of the dancers pays close attention to him. When the man notices his coworkers, Mallory decides to help him hide. The girl brings Riley into the room and offers him her services. A man pays Tara for Mallory's time, but resists her touching him. Riley struggles to the girl's molestations and suggests they just talk. He questions Mallory about her name and age. The girl gets angry, believing that it's a policeman in front of her, and returns the money. Riley goes to a small cafe where his new acquaintance soon appears. The man calms Mallory, showing his business card and talking about the business. The girl softens and apologizes to Riley for her behavior and shouting. Mallory says that the police sometimes visited the club and also took her car to impound, where every day costs money. Riley calculates that the girl now owes $1,345 for the fine itself and the car park. The man also notes that Mallory has a rather creepy vocabulary. Riley pays for the girl's meal and also, at her request, returns the money she threw at him at the club. Noticing that it's quite late outside, the man decides to walk Mallory home. The girl invites Riley inside and tells him that her light sometimes turned off. The owner of the house learned about Mallory's profession and began to blackmail her, wanting not only to pay for the girl's services, but also to record everything on camera. Mallory refused, and now periodically suffers because of this. The girl offers Riley to use substances with her. However, the man laughingly says that he has not done it for 20 years, but still agrees. Riley stays at the girl's place and lies down on the bed with her. Mallory is perplexed. Why doesn't the man want her? Riley says that he likes the girl, but he just wants to rest. Deep down, the man realizes that Mallory is very much like his daughter. In the morning, Riley is awakened by a phone call from a colleague. He promises to be on time for a conference. Riley then covers the sleeping girl with a blanket and leaves her house. In his hotel room, the man tearfully looks at the picture of the daughter he lost. Riley calls his spouse and tells her that he has to stay in New Orleans for a while. Lois informs him that she knew about her husband and Vivian's connection, however, isn't angry at him. After that, the distraught woman hangs up the phone. At work, Riley tells his coworkers that he doesn't feel like coming home for a while longer. The man wanders around the shops and buys everything he needs to fix up Mallory's life. Riley then returns to her flat and decides to start cleaning. He fixes the lights in the house and then begins heavy cleaning in the bathroom. Lois, meanwhile, cannot find a place for herself and decides to do something strange. The woman packs up a few things and goes to the garage, intending to take her spouse's car for a drive. Riley, on the other hand, finishes with cleaning and takes the girl to a cafe. The man offers Mallory an unusual idea, according to which he will live at her place and at the same time pay $100 for renting. Riley assures that it will not come to night games. Mallory is delighted at the offer and jokingly calls the man her daddy. Lois falls asleep in the car and is soon awakened by a concerned postman. The woman returns home and takes a shower, after which she decides to pack more carefully for the trip. Lois tries to drive out of the garage, but knocks over a bin and crashes into a pole. Meanwhile, Riley continues to equip the girl's flat and chases away one of her acquaintances. The man picks up Mallory after work, and she brags about her earnings. Riley tries to teach the girl to keep track of her money and keep it in order. He also teaches Mallory to make her bed, tidy the house, and keep track of her belongings. Riley's wife, meanwhile, gathers her courage and hits the road. At a cafe, Lois tells a customer that she's going to New Orleans. The man pays Lois some attention, for which she thanks him profusely and then leaves. The woman stays in a motel and enjoys the silence and solitude. Meanwhile, Riley receives a late-night call from a girl. It turns out that Mallory went to a motel with some guy, and he robbed her. Riley picks up the girl and advises her to be more careful and not to carry all the money with her. In the morning, the man tries to wake Mallory up to go to the laundry together. The girl resists and arranges a scandal, but Riley fatherly admonishes and scolds her. The man also makes a rule that for every bad word Mallory says, he will charge her $1. After a trip to the laundry, the girl makes up with Riley. At home, the man is cooking dinner when he suddenly receives a call from his wife. Lois reports that she has made it to New Orleans. He clarifies her address and promises that he'll be there soon. Riley even ditches his car and rushes to meet his wife. The man decides to show the woman Mallory and tells her that she will understand everything. Lois is shocked by the girl's resemblance to her daughter, but she finds her husband's act shocking. The woman runs away from Riley, finding his behavior disgusting. The man tries to explain that he is just looking after Mallory and helping her. Angry, Riley throws the car keys on the ground and suggests that the woman go back and lock herself in the house again. Lois rethinks her behavior and waits for her spouse in the car. Riley admits that he doesn't want to go home and feels that he belongs here with Mallory. The woman tells her husband that she has no intention of leaving him. During the night out, Riley reveals that he has decided to sell the company and has rented his wife a hotel room. Lois announces that she will be staying at Mallory's house and meets her after work. Together they go to a small cafe. Lois tells her that they had a daughter who crashed her car. It turns out that the same tragedy happened to Mallory's mother. The girl says that Riley treats her well and even fines her for bad words. Soon, Mallory and the woman find common language. Riley also feels that he wants to get along with his wife and stays alone with her at night. However, during the night, Mallory becomes ill due to the woman's infection. Lois helps the girl and sends her husband to the pharmacy. The next day, the woman takes Mallory to a lingerie shop. There, Lois tells her that her daughter has decided to go on a car ride with a guy. The woman decides to talk to Emily, but the teens tried to escape from her and got into an accident. Lois feels that she is the one to blame for what happened to her daughter. Mallory tries to calm the woman down and tells her that it wasn't her fault. At home, the girl argues with Riley and says that he shouldn't blame his wife for what happened. Mallory demands that the man talk to his wife. However, in the evening, the family idol crumbles. Lois tries to prevent the girl from going to work, believing that it only hurts her. Mallory arranges a quarrel, after which she runs out into the street. At night, Riley receives a call from the girl. It turns out that a new client attacked her, and she is taken to the police station. The man drives there with Lois and picks up Mallory. At a traffic light, the girl suddenly jumps out of the car and tries to run away. Mallory screams that she is not a little girl and is tired of being constantly taught about life. Lois tries to calm her husband down and says that the girl they met is not Emily. Riley says with a sigh that he understands that. The couple return to Mallory's house and pack their belongings, intending to return home. The man is sad about the decision, but realizes that they are all much better off this way. Riley leaves Tara money for Mallory and asks her to call when she shows up again. The couple go home and return to family life. He and Lois mend their relationship and feel they have finally dealt with the loss of their daughter. 2 weeks later, the man receives a phone call from Mallory. The girl apologizes for getting in touch for so long and asks him to apologize to Lois for her. Mallory also hopes that she can call the man occasionally. Riley says that he would like to hear her voice and help in any way he can. Mallory tells that she's going to go to Vegas and start a new life. Riley asks the girl to take care of herself and says that he misses her. Mallory replies that it's mutual and hangs up. After that, the girl gets on the bus that will take her away to her new life. This is the end of the film. Thank you all for watching this video to the end. Give this video a like. Write in the comments what you think about this film, and see you in new videos.